Hey you watching, I'm Austin from Training Tall, and I'm 6'8", but Training Tall is all about giving you the tips, tricks, and strategies to help you take your fitness and health above the average, no matter how tall you are. And this is the second episode of the Fitness Reboot series, a series dedicated to help you get back on track with your fitness and health goals if you're someone who maybe gained a few extra pounds or lost some fitness over the last couple months. And my goal is to help you make this not so much of an overwhelming process, but instead a slow and steady process of developing healthy, sustainable habits to get you to your goals. And if you happen to miss episode 1 of the Fitness Reboot series, no worries, I will leave a link for that somewhere up here next to my head. Click that link, watch that video first, then come back to this video because this is going to be building off of the stuff that we build initially in that first video. But if you're like, Austin, I don't want to watch your other video, I just want the goods from this video. Let's go over a quick recap. For those that have watched it and those that haven't, these are really good enforcers to remember. Back in episode 1, we talked about the sort of 3 main focus points of developing basic and sustainable good healthy habits to do that we can start to make routine into our daily lifestyle. The first of which being the wake up, which was a series of 3 little mini things to do each and every morning, which was set your alarm the night before, get up and drink a big old glass of water, and then work your way through 3 minutes of mobility stretches. Again, all that is covered in my first video. Hopefully you're still working through the wake up each and every morning so that way you can have the best possible start to your day ever. The second component of our simple, sustainable habits was taking a daily walk, trying to get out for at least 30 minutes a day with a goal of 10,000 steps a day if possible, but at least 30 minutes was the goal. It didn't have to be any sort of fast-paced walk, no crazy running, just going out and enjoying some outside air time, just moving your body, getting yourself active. And the third sustainable habit to help us start making better dietary choices on the daily was following the Daily Dozen protocol. It essentially gives you a checklist of the healthiest foods to include into your daily dietary eating habits to promote health and healthy body weight. And I want to stress that moving forward into the Fitness Reboot, we want to be continuously doing our wake-up routine, following the Daily Dozen, and including our daily walks. We're going to adjust a couple things here as we start to introduce some strength training into our protocol. Why strength training? Because it's one of the best ways to help you improve your body composition, which involves decreasing excess body fat and increasing lean mass, overall making you more chiseled, toned, sexy, and just overall helps you establish a healthier body weight. And here's the thing, we're gonna keep it super simple because I don't know what the world has come to, but for some freaking reason, we feel the need to overcomplicate strength training with all sorts of crazy nonsense that you don't need to do to improve your body composition and get healthier. We don't need to do anything crazy. We're just gonna do 4 exercises, just 4, and they're gonna do the job, I promise. And we don't need any sort of fancy equipment, gizmo contraptions. No! Just our body weight is going to get the job done. Yes, it is really that simple. Because if there's one thing we learned from the last episode of the Fitness Reboot, and something that we need to continue to ingrain in our brains, is that we need to be in this fitness and health lifestyle for the rest of our lives. There's no lose the excess body fat and then go back to living like crap again, right? Like we're in this from now until forever. So we're thinking about sustainability, we're thinking about consistency long term. That is what's important. It's the only way to make this work. Before we get into the logistics of the strength training protocol, let's talk about why strength training is so good. Now, a big reason why a lot of people think strength training is not good for body fat loss is because it doesn't burn as much calories as cardiovascular activities, which is true. Strength training does not burn as many calories as, let's say, a high-intensity cycling or running session might. But we have to remember that when it comes to losing body fat, excess body fat, we need to be in a caloric deficit. We need to be burning more calories overall than our body needs throughout the day. That's how our body will pull from excess fat stores. However, the most efficient way to achieve a caloric deficit is being mindful of what we put into our bodies through food and beverages instead of getting super picky about the calories out that you burn from exercise. For instance, let's say that you burn 200 calories during a strength training session, whereas during a high-intensity cycling session, you burn 350 calories instead. Sure, you burned an extra 150 calories from the cycling session, but you could just as easily get that 150 calories back from just adding in a tablespoon of olive oil to whatever you're eating. Right there, you just added in those excess calories that you burned from the cardio. And a tablespoon of olive oil, that's just like a little dribble. My point is, cutting out high-calorie dense foods out of your diet is a much more effective way to help you achieve a daily caloric deficit compared to trying to out-exercise eating a bunch of crap. And with strength training, you're putting on lean muscle mass, which is actually going to help you preserve a higher metabolism. Because as you lose body weight, as you get trimmer, your metabolism actually decreases. There's just less body for your body to work with. And so because of that, metabolism tends to go down. But with strength training, we can preserve a higher metabolism by increasing muscle mass on our body. And that's a big benefit of strength training that is often overlooked because we're thinking of the in-the-moment calorie burn and not thinking about the long-term effects. And if we can start to build up our strength in conjunction with going on our daily walks, going through our morning wake-up routine, and starting to make healthier dietary choices through the Daily Dozen, well, shoot, we are well on our way to a healthier lifestyle and more on track towards our goals. So let's get into the strength training then. What's the most efficient but basic and simple strength training routine to follow? Well, it's very simple. We can break it down into upper body and lower body, push and pull. So there's upper body push, upper body pull, lower body push, lower body pull. Now, what do we mean by push and pull? Well, when we're talking about the upper body, we're primarily thinking about exercises where we push something away. And in this case, we're talking about the ground through, you guessed it, one of the most simple exercises, yet one of the most effective exercises out there, push-ups. And one of the great things about push-ups is the variability in difficulty that you can scale based off of your current fitness level. Whether you need to start on your knees and have your hands on an elevated surface like a chair or a bench, or you move it down to the floor but begin the exercise on your knees, or you're able to perform push-ups off of your knees completely, and there's even an in-between where you can go down with your knees off of the ground and then put your knees down to push yourself back up. That's a good in-between if you're stuck between knee push-ups and not knee push-ups. But you can even take it more advanced than that by elevating your feet onto a surface like a chair or a table or a bench to do decline push-ups, which are significantly more challenging than just standard push-ups are. Now just make sure with push-ups that you're really focusing on moving your body down and forward and then pushing up and back. We always want to make sure that our wrists are starting in line with our shoulders, not starting with our hands way out in front of us. That's going to lead to elbows flaring and lead to shoulder injuries. Just think about how our body naturally pushes things. You can see my arms right here. It's kind of in this swooping motion. Again, we want to think about going down and forward, pushing up and back. And all you need to do is bend your elbows to about 90 degrees to get the full effect of the push-up. So then moving on to the upper body pulling exercise. When we talk about pull, we're talking about using primarily our back, biceps, and forearms to pull something towards us or pull ourselves towards something, which can be tough to do with just your body weight. And as far as a beginner exercise goes, my recommendation is supine push-ups. That's right, it's just like the push-ups from before, but this time we're lying in a supine position. We're lying on our back with our face and stomach facing the sky, our elbows out slightly, and the idea here is to brace our core tightly and press our elbows, dig our elbows into the ground to lift our upper body up and slowly bring ourselves back down. Do your best here to keep your head in a neutral position, which means don't crank your neck forward as you do this, but brace your abs tightly and try to get as much lift off of the ground with your upper body as you can and bring yourself down as slowly as you can. Now this exercise definitely feels very strange if it's something that you've never done before, but once you get in a few reps and a few sets of it, you'll come to find it's actually a really, really effective pulling exercise to really help you work those back muscles. And that's all we're gonna do with the upper body for now. Our push exercise being push-ups, our pull exercise being the supine push-ups. Now moving on to the lower body, we think about our lower body push exercise. We're thinking of exercises where our legs are pushing something away. And what's the best push leg exercise out there? You might have guessed it, it's gonna be squats. And just like with push-ups, there's a few different options to help you scale the squat to make it challenging for you. Of course, you could just work with the simple body weight squat, where you can start with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart, sit your butt back and down behind you, try to get your hips slightly lower than your knees, and then press through your midfoot and heel to come back up to the top. Just be mindful of your knees. We don't want the knees to cave inwards, so try to keep pressure throughout your foot, through the big toe, pinky, and the heel. Keep the knees pressed out to really help you stabilize your legs and your knees throughout the motion. And don't neglect the power of the squat if you go slow and steady through these repetitions. But if you're looking for more of a challenge, you can always try a single leg squat or a single leg sit to stand, where you want to use a chair, a bench, or some sort of table. To start this exercise, begin with your foot about a half foot away from the bench, the chair, or whatever you're using to sit back on. You're going to extend one leg out, sort of as a kickstand foot, as you sit your butt back and down onto the bench or chair, and then sit yourself up and forward, using that other leg as a kickstand assistant. Now, the more you bend in that leg, the more assistance you can get from that leg, and the straighter that leg is, the more challenging the single leg exercise becomes. And of course, the most challenging way to do this is to keep the other leg completely lifted off of the ground, or of course, find yourself a lower surface to sit back on. When you do this though, try not to sit too long on the surface. You just want to use it as sort of a safety to get you back up, but don't hang out on that chair and take a little nappy before coming back up. So if you want to give those single leg squats a try, play around with that kickstand leg to really help you find that sweet spot to make the exercise challenging for you. And then we have our lower body pull exercise. And we think about pulling with our lower body, we're primarily talking about our posterior end, our glutes, our hamstrings, etc. And we can accomplish working that back side of our legs through an exercise like the good morning. And you start this exercise with your hands behind your ears, bracing your abs tightly, feet about shoulder width apart, bending your knees ever so slightly, and then just thinking about sticking your butt back horizontally to stretch your hamstrings. And once you feel a big deep stretch in the back of your legs, squeeze your hips forward, squeeze your butt forward to stand yourself back up to the top. Again, we want to be lighting up the back sides of the legs, not rounding our back on the way down. So it's not a bend over, it really is a hip hinge. And think butt back horizontally, butt forward horizontally, and you'll feel that thing working. But if you're looking for more challenge to this exercise, you can try the single leg version, where essentially you balance yourself on one leg, kick up one leg behind you as you stick your butt back horizontally, squeeze your butt forward, keeping that other leg off the ground to provide more challenge for the working leg. This one takes a little bit more balance and coordination though. It's a great way to step up the challenge of the traditional good morning. So we've got our upper body push, our lower body push, our upper body pull, and our lower body pull exercises. And I recommend that you do them in that order. And the protocol is 3 sets of 10 reps. Simple as that, working through one at a time for the first set through, taking 40 seconds to about a minute rest in between each of the exercises, giving the best you can for those 10 reps. Again, finding the challenge level that works for you so that those last 3 reps are really freaking tough each and every time. The key with all these exercises is to go slow and control and really focus on muscle tension throughout. After you finish all 4 for the first set through, give yourself about a minute rest or so, start over, work through the second set, start over, work through the third set, and boom, you're done. The whole thing should take around 20 to 25 minutes or so. And my challenge for you is to start including this routine 3 times spread throughout your week. Now you can spread it out however you like to. However, I don't recommend that you ever do this 2 days in a row. So if you wanted to try maybe a Monday, Wednesday, Friday routine, or a Monday, Wednesday, Saturday routine, that could work too. However you want to spread out those 3 days. And on the 3 days that you do your strength training, I'm going to give you a little bonus here. Your daily walk only needs to be about 20 minutes because again, we still want to keep ourselves active. Activity is the goal. Habits is the goal. But trust me, starting to include these exercises into your weekly routine, again, just 3 times a week for 20 minutes or so of commitment, you're gonna start seeing some body composition changes leading down in the weeks to come. Now, you're not gonna see big changes overnight over the course of 1 week, but again, we are establishing our routines, our habits, and we're easing our body back into really intense style of workouts. Because we wanna keep this as effective and straightforward as possible. And I sincerely hope that this helps you continue your journey towards rebooting your fitness. You should definitely give these exercises a try. And if you have any questions on these exercises or anything at all, please let me know down in the comments below. But keep up on the same habits that we established in the first video, on our wake up, on our daily walks, and on the daily dozen. And it's time to start including some basic strength training like we went over today into your weekly routine, and this is going to continue you on the right path towards a better you. So I hope this could help you out. Please let me know what you think down in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you're looking for more fitness stuff from me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video and for next week's Reboot Series video.